guys, it's Kari. How are you all? If you guys watched my update video recently posted, you guys might know that I've been watching a lot of villainous isekai anime recently. I'm someone that is typically pretty tired of the saturated isekai series and content that we get on a seasonal basis, but somehow I've been targeted by the villainous genre, and I just get really hooked into villainous anime, even though I feel like I'm so tired of seeing isekai for the last couple of years. My villainous journey, started a couple of years ago when the most popular villainous All Routes Lead to Doom series was first adapted and came out. I'm by no means a light novel binge reader or a huge manga binge reader, but somehow I get hooked into these villainous stories pretty easily, and they're sort of like guilty pleasure hobbies of mine because I don't really have to think too much. I can turn my brain off, and it's just super fun comedic romance. Somehow I realized that in every villainous series that I've watched, the main villainess tends to have similar qualities because they are part of the villainous trope, but they all have very charming qualities of their own. So I'm going to talk about 3 different villainous series that I watched and their similarities and also their differences and the charms that make each series quite lovable and popular. So if you've watched any of these series, let me know what you think in the comments below. The first series I wanted to talk about today is called How Raeliana Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion. The way that she got into the noble fantasy world was that she was a typical depressed high school student in modern day Japan. An accident befell her and she was reincarnated into Raeliana. I didn't like Raeliana that much at the start. Raeliana is quite prickly, and I felt like throughout the series she was very calculating, and even though there was chemistry between her and the Duke, I didn't feel like she was very receptive to it. And she was actually quite grounded. I know people tend to love her because she's very realistic, she's very strategic, but personally I just wanted to see her more swept up in the fantasy aspect of the isekai world. And I liked how every episode was broken off into little vignettes, mini stories on their own, so it was pretty easy to watch. Another part of Raeliana's story that I really enjoyed was the mystery aspect, who sent me here, who is trying to kill me, how can I avoid this death? Is it someone's action or is it an inevitable thing? And that doesn't really get answered throughout the anime. I felt like it left us on a bit of a cliffhanger, so hopefully if season 2 does get animated, I'll learn more about it. I do know there is a light novel, so if you guys are interested in the light novel or if you know more about Raeliana's story, let me know in the comments below. The second series I watched is Akuyaku Reijou, which follows a girl named Ray Taylor, a modern girl who got thrust into a game world. The game world takes place in a magic academy, which actually reminds me a lot of bright colored slice of life Hogwarts. Ray Taylor is the main character, but rather than trying to chase any of her love interests that were originally canon in the game, she's actually in love with the villainess. And the villainess is your typical haughty tsundere Ojo-sama kind of character. I liked the dynamic between Ray Taylor and the villainess because I feel like in a lot of villainous anime, you don't really get to see Yuri relationships. So the Yuri relationship aspect wasn't too mature or sexual. I liked that it was handled really lightheartedly and really wholesomely, really sweetly. And that was one of the things that I enjoyed watching the most. The show was also just really, really comedic, fast-paced, really fun to watch, and a little bit unexpected because I am unfamiliar with the Yuri genre and I wasn't really sure what was going to happen to Ray Taylor. So I really liked how we could follow Ray Taylor's motivations because she was just so focused on the villainess that she made the villainess a main character, and she sort of purposely made herself a side character, which you don't see very often in villainous isekai. So in a way I felt like there was a twist to the classic formula, and I can understand why Akuyaku Reijou is always mentioned whenever people are talking about villainous isekai anime. I do feel like there are a lot of benefits to the classic formula. People know what they like, they know what they want to see, and they know what to expect when they come into a villainous anime. But Akuyaku Reijou manages to subvert some of those tropes and also play refreshingly on classic tropes as well. So I would highly recommend this to anyone who's looking for something different when it comes to the isekai villainous world. Speaking of a refreshing twist on the Villainess series, I also recently finished Tsunlise. Tsunlise is just the short form version of the name. I'm gonna put the long version of the name somewhere on the screen. I just didn't even bother to try reading it because it's just so incredibly long, and that's how you know it's like adapted from a light novel. So Tsunlise starts with two high schoolers, Endo, which is a high school guy, and Kobayashi, who is a high school girl. They're both part of the broadcast club together, and they decide to play an otome game together after school. So they log into this game and they somehow realize that they can talk to the characters in the game. I was super caught off guard. I did not think Tsunlise would be about something like this. So basically the players are trying to communicate to the main characters, acting as godly voices and guides throughout the game, trying to get the characters to have an ending where everyone ends up with someone and nobody dies. Kobayashi is quite familiar with the game. She's the one sort of like pulling Endo into the lore and the characters and the world. Majikoi, which is the otome game they're playing, is a pretty lighthearted romance game, but actually has some pretty dark backstories and also dark twists, which happens a lot in otome games in general. And Kobayashi is a really big fan of Liselot, which is why she wants Liselot to have a happy ending. I loved all the characters. Initially, I didn't really vibe with the character design. I didn't think they were catching me and attracting me as much at the beginning, but their personalities and just the way they interacted through the series, coupled with the commentary from Endo and Kobayashi, just made for very entertaining episodes. Sometimes in anime, when you get to the midpoint, it slows down or you're just not that interested. For me, I space out. I play games on my phone while I'm watching anime, so I kind of multitask and do a lot of different things. But this show kept me hooked beginning to end, and I was really attracted to just like pay attention to every moment. I really liked the ending as well. It was unexpected, which is refreshing. I liked that at the end, we got the happy ending we wanted. All the loose ends were tied up. I'm just looking forward to like season 2. I hope Endo and Kobayashi play another game in which they get to be gods again. And I think it's a really interesting take on the villainous genre where you have characters who are interacting with the actual players in another world. And in a sense, it's also very like meta. So yeah. Let me know what you guys thought of these 3 Villainess series that I watched. If you guys have other recommendations for me, I will definitely check them out. Summer is the season of a slice of life, romance, flippant, no thoughts, head empty kind of anime, fun times kind of anime. So I'm looking forward to binging more of those kinds of series in the next month or so before the fall season hits us. And if you guys like my video today, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more from me, and I will talk to you guys in my next video very soon. Bye!